I think I've only had an STI check once.
Just do another one. They're actually really good.
And we're
because
taking away the stigma.
exactly, guys.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Put
to
a face mask on, get a loco love out and check it out.
Swab yourself. Yeah.
Welcome to Self-Dom, the wellness podcast dedicated to inspiring women to embrace their authentic selves and live their best lives. Today, we're tackling a topic that many of us find, well, a bit awkward, and that's STI testing and pap smears. So let's be honest, the idea of getting tested for STIs or getting a pap smear can make even the most confident among us squirm. It's uncomfortable, it's intimate, and for many, it's downright cringeworthy, but it's also a crucial part of our health. So why do we all still feel so awkward about it? To help us navigate this conversation, I'm joined by Grace Toombs, the founder of June Health, a digital healthcare platform that's making sexual and reproductive health more accessible and less intimidating. Whether you're due for your first STI test or just looking to feel more confident about your health, this conversation is for you. Welcome to Self-Dom.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course,
so excited.
My fellow golden retriever owner.
Yes, yeah, we're both Goldie mummies.
We're Goldie mummies.
Yeah.
You've got Frankie.
I've got Frankie.
And Crumble. And we were just saying that Crumble actually attacked Frankie at the dog park.
Yes, good character building though. She needed it, and she's moved on. She's stronger for it. Exactly. Yeah, raising strong young women. It's great.
So we've crossed paths so many times.
We have,
and I have done a deep dive on you, obviously, before recording this, and I am in complete awe of what you do. It is incredible, and I'm so excited to share with the audience your journey, what you've made, and what's going to be happening in the future. So I want to start by talking about June Health. Where did this idea come from?
It is a very personal story. I often tell people that June didn't just pop into my mind as this fun idea. It is ultimately a business that was born out of my own experience with my own women's healthcare. So I was a medical student for 3 years, and whilst I was studying, I was constantly in and out of emergency departments and GP clinics, enduring my own healthcare issues. So I was always in excruciating pain, had really, really heavy periods, and no one could tell me what was going on. And I felt really isolated and confused and lost. And so during my medicine studies, I got an endometriosis diagnosis, so stage 3 endo. And during that surgery, the gynecologist did a pap smear, so a cervical screen is now the appropriate term. And that showed a positive result for quite high grade precancer cells on my cervix.
And how old were you?
I was 21.
Wow.
21 at the time, and so 4 years before the recommended screening age. And it was at that moment where I just thought, what is going on? Why is it that I'm having surgery and I've just found this really awful piece of information out? Where's the prevention? Where's the autonomy in making these decisions? And so after that surgery, I had to have another surgery to remove the cells, which, as you can imagine, was just pretty heartbreaking. And it ultimately, charged me in a way to think about how we approach women's healthcare in this country. And so started digging around, left med school because I just felt really disenfranchised with the system and wanted to build outside of it with women, not hierarchical up here making decisions. June was born. So did a public health degree and then have just started building this. So it's been 4 months now.
Wow. And I want to talk a little bit more about that diagnosis. Obviously, you're 21 and you're 4 years before the recommended screening time. So in that 4 years, who knows what would have happened, the growth. How did you feel as a 21-year-old? How did you view health?
It's a great question. It's a funny one because I don't think I'm I was a general 21-year-old, like I was a medical student, quite health literate, have a very good understanding of the healthcare system. And so I think I probably had, I wouldn't say ego, but just a mindset of that would never happen to me because I'm so diligent and good with precautions. I'm also a very healthy person. I lead a very healthy lifestyle. So I think I was, quite ignorant to the fact that something like that could happen to me. And it was really shocking because, like you said, like 4 years before the recommended screening age, I just couldn't stop thinking about, well, what if I hadn't have been in that surgery and the gynecologist hadn't done that test? You know, what could have happened.
Yeah, so you weren't a usual 21-year-old partying, drinking.
Not at all.
No.
I haven't had that phase and I'm wondering, like, will it?
No. It's going to creep up on you, maybe.
I feel like it will at some stage, but it hasn't yet. But no, very head down, bit of a nerd in the books, never really going out partying.
Okay. Yeah, so I want to also talk about your endometriosis diagnosis because that's something that is getting pushed to the forefront. Honestly, 10 years ago, no one spoke about it. And you were stage 3. What does that mean?
So there's 4 stages. So stage 1 is pretty mild, and then stage 4 is you're looking at organs being attached to each other because of the growth and the adhesions. So stage 3 is pretty far along. I actually just about 3 months ago had my second surgery, and I had my bladder and my uterus stuck together just because the inflammation is so intense. So, and there's just no education around it either about like how to prevent it. It's like, well, you have to have a surgery every, few years.
Did
it's just not
they
ideal.
say why?
Why?
You may have gotten it? Is it like hereditary? Is it from the environment?
They don't know. It's just really disappointing. So there's actually a new research institute that's just opened up at UNSW, and it's an endometriosis institute. And so the whole point of it is to really knuckle down and try and find the root cause, but also how we can diagnose it quicker. On average, it takes women about 7 years to get diagnosed.
Wow.
Which was the case for me as well. Yeah.
So you leave med school and you go on this journey as a 21-year-old. We were very different at 21, is all I have to say. How did you go from that to creating the product?
It was, firstly, I will say leaving med school was one of the hardest decisions of my life. I didn't get into med school straight after year 12. I went and did nursing for a little bit and built up a good enough GPA to actually apply and get in. And so it was a decision that was fraught with a lot of internal confusion and conflict. So a lot of grief associated with that. So left and cooled the heels for a little bit. I actually went to New York for a hot minute just to relax and
to relax in New York. I love you.
To get some creative energy.
Yeah,
good. Perfect place to do it. And then I decided that public health was probably the best degree to go into, just because it's all about systems and policy, and I wanted to understand that more. And so while I was studying public health, I worked for a few research institutes, one of them being the Australian Longitudinal Study on Women's Health, which is the longest running study of its kind in women's health. So started in the late 70s. And so I was just a sponge when I was working there, just really engaging a lot with professors and researchers about the really pertinent issues in women's healthcare, and kind of took all of that and built up this idea of June, which has evolved over time. But yeah, it was honestly a mission, like finding the lab, for example, to test the samples. Like it was just this really, really long process. I got very, very desperate at one point. I was actually going to the labs without an appointment, just knocking on the door. Hey, will you test my sample? Like, what do you think of this? And eventually got one over the line. But
wow.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the listeners are like, okay, I'm hearing this June. What is this? Let's show them what this is.
Let's show them.
Obviously, we'll do ASMR for the listeners, but we'll do a reel on self-dom. So.
Of course. So this is the kit. So that's what we have. Discreet packaging. So what happens when you jump onto our website is you can either select a cervical screen or an STI test kit. And then from there, our doctor will call, usually within a couple of hours. So you can have a really engaging conversation with the women's healthcare GP who really understands you. And then the test kit gets shipped to the home. And so what's in here is a swab box with the swab.
Pretty branding. I'm just saying,
thank you.
I love the colours.
Thank you. So we have a swab box, and then there's instruction sheet, obviously, and then there's a prepaid return satchel that goes back to the lab within it. So would have loved to have had beautiful design on the outside, but if a 16-year-old orders this to the home and her dad's home, she probably doesn't want him knowing that she ordered something from June. So the look and the feel of the branding was really important to me, though. I really wanted to remove the sterility that's associated with healthcare.
Clinical.
And it's so clinical. And part of my research that I did when I was starting June was I went to every single sexual health clinic in Sydney. And I sat there as if I were a patient going to get an STI test because I wanted to experience what so many of us experience. And it was exactly that. It felt dirty and I was like, ew, I do not enjoy this at all. So this is completely different. You know, you can be at home with a face mask. I don't really care, but it feels nice.
And how long does it take to get your results back?
So it's slightly different depending on the test. So for an STI test, it takes about 5 days from when you order the kit to when the result gets.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's a really fast turnaround time. For the cervical screening, just because the lab has to culture it, it takes longer. So it's about 14 days for that.
Still.
Which is the same as if you went to a GP clinic, but obviously you don't have to go and wait there. So
can you just order this online?
Exactly, yeah.
And then the doctors that you have, are they part of your company or they're separate?
Yep. So I've handpicked all of our doctors. It was exactly. It was really important to me. I didn't want women using our service and not feeling empowered and heard by our doctors. So we've got some really incredible women's health GPs, and we are actually building out our platform now to encompass more women's health consults. So just general things like if a woman wants to come on and talk about her hormones, for example, being able to have a doctor call about that. So
amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit more about STIs and doing the cervical. I say cervical, but
I used to say cervical as well, but our chief medical officer has now told me that it's cervical.
Okay.
Cervical is the US term. Cervical, there you go.
Cervical.
It sounds a bit fancy.
I know. So let's dive into STIs. What are some symptoms that women may have to indicate certain STIs?
So it really depends on the STI. So the most common ones are chlamydia and gonorrhea. And sometimes they're completely silent. More often than not, with chlamydia, women won't even know that they have it. And gonorrhea is a little bit more obvious, like slightly different changes in discharge or smell. But I think that really brings home what this whole episode is about, is that testing is so important because often we have no idea that we have these things. And if you don't test, things can manifest into more complicated outcomes, like pelvic inflammatory disease is a pretty common occurrence in people who don't treat STIs. So
does it impact your fertility?
Exactly. Yeah. So pelvic inflammatory disease, if left untreated, can go up into the fallopian tubes and cause issues there. So, and it's really hard because you can't reverse the damage. So
wow,
once it's already done, it's done. So
how often would you recommend people test?
After each new partner. if you're not using protection. But even still, I often tell people, like, just do it anyway, even if you are using protection. Like, you never know. So obviously if someone's in a long-term relationship or marriage, like, there's no need.
I know, but I kind of want to do one. Even
why not?
Because I think I've only had an STI check once.
Yeah, just do another one. They're actually really good.
And we're taking away the stigma.
Exactly, guys.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Put a face mask on, get a Loco Love out and check it out.
Swab yourself. Yeah. No, exactly. I think, the good thing about our STI screens is that we also do like a microbiome test as well. So it will like show things like BV or a yeast infection or things like that, which is super common among women, and at least then they know. So come on over, girl.
I will be. And then the cervical, every time I say it, I'm like, I say it right.
Yeah.
What are some symptoms that something might not be right down there? And also, how often should you do a cervical screening?
So I don't make the rules on this one. The National Cervical Screening Register recommend that women get tested every 5 years. So to screen every 5 years from the age of 25.
But that obviously didn't work for you because that was your whole problem.
Correct. Exactly. Which I am really wanting to challenge, because I don't understand why we're not giving women the opportunity to test earlier if they want. I think it's ultimately about everyone's own personal decision. But yeah, from age 25, you can start testing. The beauty about what we do as well is we also notify My Health Record and the National Cervical Screening Register as well every time you test. So there's no like fragmentation of results and things. I think that can be quite hard with digital telehealth companies, is that your results are just kind of spread across lots of different platforms. So yeah. It used to be every 3 years, but they've now increased it.
I'm a big believer on this testing stuff because my mum, she had rectal cancer to start, but it started as a skin cancer that was in her butt. But she had a colonoscopy a year before, and she kept asking to have another colonoscopy 6 months later because she felt something, and they were like, no, you just had one. And then eventually a year later they did it, and she had this huge growth. And who knows what would have happened if they had allowed her to test. Sometimes they make these rules like every 5 years, but everybody's so different. And, you know, it would have been good if there was an at-home option for her that she could have done. So I'm very inspired by the at-home kit and the business model that you've created, because it allows people to test when doctors say no. Because I'm sure you've heard stories that are the same where doctors are like, no, you've been tested, you're fine, your pain is normal, and all these different things that we get told. But if you leave things untreated, you know, it cost my mum her life. So yeah, I'm really in awe of what you've done. And I'm getting emotional, but that's fine. But we're going to change the subject a little bit, still women's health, but I really loved a reel you created about your IUD experience. And I want to talk about that because contraception is a big topic at the moment. A lot of women are deciding they want to take control of their body in a more natural way. What was your experience?
Ooh, it's a bit of a spicy experience. So when I was 14, I got my first period, and they were like very, very heavy. Was not having a good time.
Because the endometrium.
Exactly.
Like and now looking at that, it's like, oh my God.
I know.
So they only found your endometriosis at 21.
Yeah.
But that's why you said it was 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really, really long time.
Side note, I'm just hoping that because of the education that platforms like this, your platform bring, that when we become parents and our daughters are in pain, we don't put them on contraception. We actually go seek more medical advice to get to the root cause.
Completely
I
agree.
really, really hope that that's the shift we see.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been quite grim. So, yeah, when I was 14 was always, just honestly always on my period. Was showing up every 2 weeks and it would last for 10 days and I just couldn't catch a break. And I was pretty isolated. Like I was in a pretty big friend group, but I stopped going to sleepovers because I was worried that I would like bleed on their sheets. I remember one time I had to leave a sleepover party early because I bled on my friend's Sheridan sheets and I was like, I'm so sorry. But it was really awful and I felt really, quite shamed out about it. So got put on the pill, which looking back now, I think, oh my goodness, because the GP really didn't take any time to understand what I was going through or offer natural methods. There was just nothing. And so got put on the pill, which I think in a lot of ways masked my symptoms. And I just wasn't really in touch with my body anymore. I felt completely stripped of knowledge and would never really get a period. And I then went off the pill. This was around the time I got my diagnosis for endo. And my gynecologist recommended getting the IUD. And so honestly, it was hell. I went to a GP clinic and had the IUD in hand. Like you go to the pharmacy and you buy it first.
What?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know this.
Yeah, they're really cheap. They're like $4.
Oh.
Yeah. I know, which is kind of weird in a lot of ways.
It's like too cheap.
It's too cheap. It's like
to put something in your body now.
Absolutely. So went there with my little kit, paid $400 and got asked to just lay on the bed. And the GP was really awful to me, like no empathy at all. I was really scared, obviously.
Yes.
Like I'm about to have a procedure, completely awake. And she then like obviously used a speculum, which, fun fact, the speculum was designed by a man. It hasn't been changed since I think the 1850s. So not fun. It's old.
I'm like squeezing to make sure I'm not sure.
It's not ideal. And so, like lots of needles in the cervix to numb the area and then had this whole procedure done, which just was awful.
Just feels not natural, right? It just feels wrong.
It feels wrong. I was just honestly like weeping, like crying in so much pain, and she was just like, stop, you need to stop, like you're being really intense right now, like relax, I can't do my job if you don't relax. And I was like, but I'm in so much pain. Anyway, so that was that. But
and you'd also just had 2 surgeries like in the last 6 months or whatever it was.
Exactly. And so the IUD actually didn't last in my body. I had it for about a month and it just felt really, really awful. And I went to the hospital eventually to get it taken out. But I spoke about that on my Instagram page because I feel like, and it's the same story within, women's health, we just are very quick to prescribe things and give quick fixes like, oh, we'll just give you an IUD or go on the pill, and there's just not enough education around it. I had no idea what I was walking into. I was told that it would be painless and that I would be fine and maybe it would feel like a pinch, but I left feeling really quite distraught. And so I think, GPs in the healthcare system need to do a much better job of telling us what we're going to endure.
I think I saw on your Instagram, but it was 91% of women feel pain, like from the IUD, or like a really small percent of people it works for.
Yeah. The ABC did quite an intense study on people who have had IUDs, and more people than not reported that they found the experience not only painful but really traumatic. And so I've had a few friends since who have had IUDs inserted, and they've always come to me and have asked like, hey, what should I do? And I'm just like, just know what you're going into, and also you're entitled to ask the GP to stop at any time or ask for pain management. Like it's It's our right as individuals to know.
So then what do you use for contraception?
I had that IUD in, and then I actually got an IUD inserted after that one was pulled out by my gynecologist, who did a much better job, and it's sitting where it should be. So I've got that. But it's really hard for us, and like as women with reproductive health conditions like endo or PCOS, because we kind of have to be on a form of contraception. But I really struggle with it. I haven't had a period in, I think it's been a year. I just don't. And so I think I struggle with that a lot because I have no idea where I'm at. And I think it's stripped me a little bit of my femininity. Like I'd like to know.
Like you can't work with your cycle.
I can't, which I would love to be able to do. Like I see so many incredible resources online about here's what you should be eating in your luteal phase. And I can't engage in that at all because I have no idea where I'm at.
But you have to because the pain is excruciating from the endo or...
Yeah, and the bleeding is the thing. It just is persistent. So
there's no other way.
I have no choice. I mean, I could do a non-hormonal copper IUD, but I've heard that they're pretty intense.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly, being a woman, so much involved.
It's awful. Because did you go off the pill?
I was on the pill for 13 years.
Wow.
And then just had all the bad side effects when I went off. But now I finally feel in tune with my body, my cycle is regular, and I just feel how you said about the feminine energy, I feel really connected to my feminine self. Definitely a lot more softer and like nurturing, and I just feel happier, more in love. I've actually got an episode, it's probably out by the time this one comes out, which is what I've learned since going off the pill.
I love that.
And it's just like a lot about I'm okay not chasing as much, and living into my cycle has been a superpower because it's forced me to rest. I felt when I was on the pill, it was just go, 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 flatlining, almost like a man. And now I feel, I just feel like you don't need to always be doing, just being is beautiful.
Definitely.
And especially in a relationship, I actually feel like my love for Tom has exponentially grown since I went off the pill.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they say that when you're on the pill, you're more attracted to femme men. And when you're off the pill, you're more attracted to like a masculine man. And Tom can really grow a good beard. And when I was on the pill, I always loved no beard. And then since I've been off the pill, I still like less beard, but I definitely like more facial hair. It's quite crazy.
Because I'm that way. I really don't like a lot of facial hair.
Because you're on...
because I'm on...
The Maria.
Yeah, exactly. So watch this space when I decide to take it
people
out.
have like completely like changed partners. Because your pheromones change so much.
Yeah.
Not saying that will happen to you.
Potentially. Who knows?
Let's get back into women's health and June and the kit. Mm-hmm. Where do you see the business growing in 5 years? I feel like you're at the start of it right now.
Yeah, we're definitely in the very early days, but have been very fortunate to capture a lot of
funding you got.
Yeah. We got into the StartMate Accelerator program, which was pretty big, like 750 applicants. And
amazing.
I think there was like 12 startups who got in. So that's really wonderful. So we're definitely making good headway and building a lot of momentum. And I think shifting the culture around how women think and feel about their sexual and reproductive health. The big like dreamscape plan for June is to be the global home for all things women's health from first bleed to final period. I think as women, we have so many different chapters, these kind of like earmarks in our journey. First period, maybe an endometriosis diagnosis like me, fertility, having children, menopause. There's all these different phases, and I would love to have June there as almost like a best friend to really aid in all of those phases of life and alleviate the friction associated with so many of them. So that's the ultimate goal.
Do you see yourself having an online platform and people can, this is what I'm just envisioning, where it's like from your first bleed, you document on the app and then it lets you know that these are the products, these are the tests, reminder, do this test every 3 months, whatever it is.
Everything, exactly what you've said. I think an app is the best because we're so like digitally native now. We want an app.
Yeah, like Flow app and things. Like every girl has that app.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone puts their period in. How good would it be if your first period, you weren't ashamed of it, you put it in there and then it reminds you, okay, you haven't, because I don't get reminded when my last cervical screening was, when I last had a STI check. Like I don't have anything reminding me because I don't see the same GP. I just go wherever.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people are like that.
Oh, definitely.
Like I wish I had one that I saw, but I don't.
Well, little fun fact, 50% of Gen Z women don't have a regular GP.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not more.
Yeah, because there's just, we're busy. It's you just book into whoever's available. But yeah, having everything in one
so good
spot would be amazing. So that's what I'm going to be running towards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited to see this journey unfold and the growth of this amazing brand. We always end the pod with the same question, which is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I love that question. I am going to reiterate a piece of advice my dad has always shared with me throughout my childhood. There's a beautiful song called Wild Girl by an artist called Rickie Lee Jones. She's a bit of an eclectic folky artist, and the lyric in there says, "The thing that makes you beautiful never comes out of a jar." And I think whilst I really try to live by that, the beauty being inside, I think maybe when I was like 16, I shied away from that a lot. And so just leading with love and being authentic and not focusing too much on the optics of everything.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I can't wait to listen to that song.
Thank you.
Let the girls know where they can find you, where they can get the product, all the things.
Definitely. So we are Hey June Health on Instagram. Lots of really exciting things coming there. It's definitely going to be a hub for all things education around women's health. And then our website is heyjune.com.au. You can find us there, grab a kit and join the Juniverse. We'd be thrilled to have you.
The Juniverse. I just want to know, do you have a little discount code that you could offer us?
Of course I do. June 20 for 20% off all our kits. Would love for you guys to try us.
Amazing. I'll link it in the description below. I'll put the code there. Let's get around it. Let's support small business and let's look after ourselves. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.